1, 2.
Yeah, so I'm just going to test that by asking you to introduce yourselves and if you have a bleeding disorder, and if so, what kind, and where you come from.
Okay, well, my name's John Rogaski. I am from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
And I'm Donna Rogaski, and I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
I am the one that has the bleeding disorder. I have a rare bleeding disorder called by the name of afibrinogenemia. There are approximately 200 documented cases in the world of the condition.
When were you first aware that you had a bleeding disorder?
Well, it started in 1965. I was 4 years old and my tonsils up. On the operating table, they discovered I had a bleeding disorder, or I had a bleeding issue. At that time, the doctor was a GP that did the surgery. He just told my parents that your son has is a bleeder, is the term that they used. I lived with that from age 4 until we were getting married. Age 19, I got engaged. As a child, I grew up with bandages and no limitations whatsoever. Just lots of bandages, lots of bruises, lots of things happening that we just dealt with on a timely basis, I guess. There was no intervention from the doctor. There was just, your son's a bleeder. As I went for my first checkup with my wife's family doctor, he asked me the question, do you have any medical issues? And I said, yeah, I'm a bleeder. His reply was, well, everybody bleeds. And he says, what type? I said, I have no idea. He said, well, okay, we're gonna find out. In which case he sent me to a specialist, to Hematology and Health Science Center in Winnipeg. And they did the bleeding test where they cut you and say, yeah, you're a bleeder. It took them approximately a year to figure out what I had, because the condition I have is very rare. It's like I said, it's 200 documented cases in the world. At that time, I was the only Canadian that had it, that they were aware of. So there wasn't a lot of history, a lot of information on this disorder that I have. The disorder is called afibrinogenemia. It's a lack of, factor 1 deficiency, lack of fibers, or in my case, 0 fibers that make the clot. At that point in the 80s, this was approximately 1980, bleeding disorder program just started up in Winnipeg. My hematologist introduced me to the nurse at the time, and at that time they told me, if you have a bleed, call this number, we'll come in, you come in, you'll have, we'll give you product. And a certain amount of time, we'll teach you how to treat yourself at home. Everything's gonna be great. Course of about 6 months, I had a bleed. I was a mechanic at the time. I had a bleed in my finger. I went into the hospital. They gave me cryoprecipitate, which was what everybody was getting, and I had an anaphylactic seizure to that, in which case that was off the table. It then took them another year to figure out, instead of figure out what I was allergic to, because they spent a lot of time trying to track that down, they eliminated everything that was in there, and they made fibrinogen for me at the RH Institute in Winnipeg. Gave it to me, and I didn't have a reaction. So therefore, this is the product that you get. All through this, I felt like a life raft. I was on a life raft in the middle of the ocean with nothing but sea all around me. I'm the only person that has this. The only treatment is you come and see us. There's no treatment in Brandon. There's no treatment in Edmonton. There's no treatment. You come and see us. This is what you do. I was alone. We felt, and when, at that point we were married already, and I felt like I was a dot in the middle of a piece of paper. The internet opened up a lot of things to me and allowed me to find other people in the world that have what I have. There's 5 people in the US that have what I have. We connect through a blog now. We get to chat about treatments. We get to chat about injuries. There's people in Japan, Israel, Saudi Arabia that we get to compare treatments. We don't get into a lot of details with each other, personal lives, but we get to talk with somebody that's a brother that has this. It was a very lonely life between the two of us that we felt that we didn't belong. I didn't join the Hemophilia Society for 20 years because of the name Hemophilia Society. I don't have hemophilia. That's not me. I'm not a diabetic. I'm not this. I'm not that. Why would I join the Diabetic Society? I'm not a hemophiliac. It wasn't until our nurse Nora convinced us to join that we got involved in the chapter, that it opened up huge branches for us. Information, just talking with different people with hemophilia who have the same issues as us. Donna needs to talk about her issues dealing with the treatments and stuff, because as I'm sitting getting my treatments in the hospital, she has a completely different job to do on her side while I'm getting my treatments.
Which is?
I'm his advocate, I'm his eyes, I'm his ears, and I'm his voice, because he gets pre-treated with Benadryl and Soliportev and all different types of...
Out like a light. You fall asleep. Benadryl knocks you out.
So he's kind of in la la land, and I'm the one that watches what goes on, and I'm the one that guides them, especially in Emerge, because it seems to be our only place that we can really go if it's after hours, and they don't know him. We come in and it's like, okay, we're here, they told you, the bleeding disorders team has called you, let you know, okay? Or we come in and we say, okay, you're so-and-so, yep. Our nurse should have called ahead. Okay, yeah, all right. They bring you in, they hook him up and that, and he's gone and I'm watching. I bring a protocol of our treatment and I have to guide the nurses along. In Emerge, there are so many different shift changes, and every time you get a new person. And sometimes the information isn't passed on to the next nurse specifically the way it should be done. So I'm there to say, excuse me, this is what we need to do. And I mean, I have to say that the people that I deal with are wonderful, and they're very open to listening to what I have to say. And a lot of times though, they kind of get, oh, you're the expert. Well, you can do this. Well, no, I'll help you to a certain point. But the main part of it is your job. You're connecting him to the IV. You're monitoring his heart. You're going to actually put the infusion into that little bag. I will help you, but your ultimate job is you're still doing it. But I've found over the years there's been lots of little glitches and mistakes made. And I feel that if I wasn't there, he's not aware what could happen. I've never missed a treatment for him, only on the opportunity where they wouldn't let me into recovery to be with him. Now, we're a little bit more vocal. The last time he had surgery, I waited and waited all by myself. A lot of times it's very lonely. You don't get support. I don't get the nurse even saying, okay, he's out of surgery and in recovery or whatever. I phone on the line and they're saying to me, okay, well, we've decided to give him another 6 grams of fibrinogen before we bring him up to the ward. And I'm saying, well, just a minute. Our last conversation was he was supposed to get treated on the ward. Oh no, we have time. We're going to do it here. I said, well, if you need help, I'm here. I'm sitting. I'm waiting. Okay, we'll see. Call back in an hour. And meanwhile, John's already come out of the anesthetic and he's saying, oh, I'm going to be treated, get my wife in here. She knows what to do. It's peace of mind for him and it's peace of mind for me. Because yes, I understand that they are part of the medical profession, but they don't really know that whole background story with him and how a lot of times he can react even though we've given him things to prevent him from reacting. It's gotten better, but there's that slim margin that something could go wrong. You could have, a thrombosis. You could have, different problems arising by giving him too much fibrinogen. There's that fine line. So for me, it's been very difficult the times when I couldn't, after surgeries, be with him, or people weren't informing me of what had happened and why he hasn't come to the ward when I'm going back and forth. And there's just not that communication. And sometimes as a caregiver, you go home at night and you cry in the shower because, who do you have for yourself? Yeah, you have family, but even family doesn't understand that you're living it.
A team.
A team.
My bleeding disorder is our bleeding disorder. We treat it as such. We go to the HR or the ER, we go as a team. And we ask whoever is administering that treat us like a team. We get, periodically you get people wanting not to participate that way. For the most part, people understand that she has been here that long. But the odd time you get people that say, no, I've done this long enough, I've been a nurse, I've done this long enough, I don't need anybody's help. It's not the physical administering of the product, it's the sense of I guess the word, just the comfort of knowing that she's been there as long as I've been here, knowing that she knows the product as well as I do, knows how I react as well as I do, and I am much more comfortable when she's there. And for the most part, we can relay that to the healthcare system, but sometimes it doesn't come across as it should.
I'm wondering if either of you would have any advice for other people in your situation that don't have as amazing an advocate as you have. Like perhaps they're alone, or perhaps their partner is less equipped or unable. Any thoughts?
And Rick, we've thought about this. Mm-hmm. We're getting older. Mm-hmm. We're trying to prepare for this. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if I go before her, then the situation's done. But if she goes, or she kind of becomes incapacitated, we have to think about this. And I guess the advice, first of all, is to be strong in your voice, to be strong, and to be able to have the sense to be able to talk to the people that are giving you your care. I find that if you come across too strong, people get defensive. But if you engage people in your care, they come around more to you. And I guess if you are alone and you are by yourself, you have to develop that almost a thick skin to say, no, stop. This is what I want. This is how it's done. And if they don't listen the first time, you have to continue that and say, no, stop. This is what works. Having the knowledge and the background to prove that, I guess, is helpful. To say that I've done this before, I've gone down this path, this is what happened last time, that helps. As far as us, we've talked about, are the kids involved? Well, the kids aren't as involved. You know, they have their lives, they have their own things happening. Okay, do we enlist friendship? Friends have said, yeah, absolutely, I'll be there for you. But you're not always going to rely on that. I mean, the next choice, is it a group of friends? Is it a group of people? And I think that's where it would end up being, is 5 or 6 people that you can rely on. Not to the extent that, that Donna looks after me or I look after her, but that we could rely on to say, you know what, I have a bleed, can you come with me this time? And then next time it's somebody else. So the burden's not always on one person. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now, as to what our next step would be.